Example that a magazine claims that the mean amount spent by a customer at Fry World is less than the mean amount spent by a customer at Burger Stop. The results of customer transactions for the two fast food restaurants are shown to the right, and at the 5% significance level, we want to test the magazine's claim. So I'm going to start off by first writing our two hypotheses. For step 1, we need our null and our alternative hypothesis. I'm going to first write our alternative. The magazine claims that the mean amount spent by a customer at Fry World, I will let Fry World's already indicated with the indices of 1, and Burger Stop has the indices of 2. So if the claim is that the mean amount spent at Fry World is less, that would be that mu1 is strictly less than mu2. So the opposite of that statement would be that mu1 is greater than or equal to mu2. And so we do have a left tail test looking at our alternative hypothesis that inequality is pointing to the left. For step 2, we are going to calculate our t-value for the critical value since we are given the sample standard deviations. So we will take 5.08 and subtract 5.12 and then divide by the square root of 0.89 squared divided by 57. To that we are adding 0.79 squared divided by 61. And we're going to round this to 2 decimal places to get approximately negative 0.26 as our test statistic. Notice that we cannot use the p-value method here in this example because we are using the t-distribution. We can only use the p-value method if we are using the standard normal distribution. So we're going to set up our rejection region. We're using the t-test. We know that our alpha is 0.05 since that is our level of significance. This is a left tail test, so we are shading to the left. Our degrees of freedom here is equal to 56 because that is the smaller sample size subtract 1. 56 does not show up on our t-distribution table, so we would need to go to our calculator and do our second vars to get to the DISTR to calculate this critical value, and you should get negative 1.67 when you plug that into your calculator. I want to pause for a second and show how you can come up with this critical value of negative 1.67 if you do not have a calculator, because as you know, that 56 degrees of freedom is not included on our t-distribution table. So I will give you a link to this website that will help us calculate those critical values when the degrees of freedom is not in our table. What they are asking for here, the p-value, is our alpha, or tail area. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch this to a left tail test because in example 3 we were working with a left tail test. Please do not confuse this p-value with the tail area of the test statistic. This p-value is interpreted as our alpha from our problem here that was given to us, our level of significance. And our degrees of freedom was 56, so I'll type that in. And then now I can see that our t-value is really negative 1.67, confirming what I got from the calculator. So if you do not have a calculator that's going to calculate these critical values for you, that's perfectly fine. Please don't feel like you need to buy one. You can use this website. It will also be able to be accessed during a test. So that's also something that you don't need to worry about. You'll be able to click on this link during a proctor test and open this up to calculate those critical values for your critical value. So now for step 4, we will take our test statistic and drop it into our rejection region picture. We see that that lands about right there, or negative 0.26. That is not in the rejection region, and so we make the decision to fail to reject the null hypothesis. And so we are concluding in step 5 that there is not enough evidence to support HA. And we have 95% confidence in that conclusion. So our final conclusion is that with 95% confidence, there is not enough evidence to support the magazine's claim that the population mean amount spent at Fry World is less than the population mean amount spent at Burger Spot. And I particularly like this example because we were able to go through this test and conclude that there's not enough evidence to support that the amount at Fry World is less than Burger Spot. When if you just look at the data, a lot of people would look at this sample mean of 5.08, which is a little bit smaller than 5.12, and say, yeah, well, it looks like people are spending less money at Fry World than they are at Burger Stop. But when you take things into consideration, like the fact that Fry World has a higher standard deviation, so that data is more spread out from the mean than it is at Burger Stop, and a smaller sample was pulled from Fry World. So the data for our first set of data is not as comprehensive as the second set of data. That all boils down to showing that we cannot, in fact, support that conclusion with 95% confidence.